The Senate Intelligence Committee released its recommendations to stop hackers from tampering with future elections on Tuesday. The committee held a press conference after releasing its recommendations PDF, pointing out 6 key steps that state and local election officials should follow to protect their voting machines and databases. The recommendations come as lawmakers have increasing concern about the U.S.'s election infrastructure. Pointing out attempted cyber attacks in the past, it is clear the Russian government was looking for vulnerabilities in our election system, and highlighted some of the key gaps. Senator Richard Burr, RNC, the committee chairman, said at the press conference, "Russia was trying to undermine the confidence of our election system." Senators are hosting an open hearing on Wednesday to discuss the issue further, with representatives from the Department of Homeland Security and the Election Assistance Commission expected to testify. Voting machines in 40 states were outdated. The Senate Intelligence Committee said election security has been a major concern for the U.S.'s critical infrastructure since the DHS announced that Russian hackers made several attempts to break into the nation's electoral system. Russian meddling was prevalent throughout the 2016 presidential election. But whether it's through propaganda campaigns on social media or phishing attacks on the Democratic National Committee, attempted attacks on voting machines and election infrastructure strike a different nerve because it would mean hackers would be able to alter the votes directly. The DHS noted that vote counts were not affected in the attempted attacks on 21 states. "We were all disappointed that states, federal government, and the DHS was not more on their game in advance of the 2016 presidential election," Senator Mark Warner, D.Va, the committee's vice chair, said. Here's how the 6 recommendations break down: reinforce states' primacy in running elections. States need to be the officials in charge when it comes to running elections, not the federal government. The federal government should make sure that all states are getting the resources the states need for security. According to the document, the federal government should partner with the state to truly secure its systems, Sen. Burr said. Create effective deterrence. The U.S. government needs to properly respond to any attempted attack on the U.S.'s election system. The federal government needs to work with the U.S.'s allies and establish new international cyber norms. The recommendation calls for U.S. officials to recognize attempted attacks on election infrastructure as a hostile act and respond accordingly. Improve information sharing. The intelligence community needs to put a high priority on attributing cyber attacks. The DHS needs to make sure both the federal government and local state governments can share information on attacks efficiently. Secure election-related systems. Election officials should take basic security steps like 2-factor authentication for logging into voter databases. States should also work with the DHS to create guidelines on best cybersecurity practices. Secure the vote itself. States need to quickly replace their outdated voting systems. All machines should have a paper trail and no Wi-Fi capability. There were still 40 states that were operating with election equipment that was more than a decade old, Sen. Warner said. Much of that equipment had outdated software that you weren't even able to upgrade even if you chose to. Assistance for the states. The federal government needs to provide funding for states to upgrade their systems and improve their cybersecurity practices. Election officials should hire information technology staff and buy new voting machines. We realize all of this security costs money. We want to make sure the federal government not only says we're a partner, but we are a partner, Burr said.